Today I'd like to talk about when your stuff seems overwhelming, when the things that you're wanting to change about life and how you are in the world, that it just seems too much, that what you notice is there's like this whole load of stuff that all feels kind of tangled together, and you're there trapped in the middle of this web. And when we feel like that about our stuff, that there's a lot of it and it's all tangled together and it's just a mess, and given how much of it is and it is all so tangled up like that, how can it possibly change? It can feel quite dispiriting sometimes and overwhelming and demoralising, and almost like, we're on the verge of just defeat with it really, because look at it. There's all this stuff and it's all tangled up. How am I possibly going to get past all of this? How can change happen when there's all this stuff all knotted together? And what I want to talk to you about today is that there's actually, strange as it sounds, quite a benefit to that. So while it might feel as though you're stuck in this web and there's all these different sections to it and it's all tangled together, and that this part is connected to that part, that's connected to that other part, that's connected back to this part, while that might feel really tricky, the benefit of it is that because things are interconnected, what you've got there is a little system. And the thing that's true about little systems is that it actually gives you multiple entry points into trying to sort things out. So let's say you've got 4 issues, 4 different aspects of how things are getting in your way at the moment, and they're all kind of connected in a certain way to such an extent that it feels like it's too much. If you've got those 4 things that are all interconnecting and feel like a web, you've actually got 4 different entry points. You could start with this part, or you could start with that part, or you could start with the other part, or you could start with the final part. And because it's all entangled, and because it's all a system of stuff, wherever you choose to start making change, to making some sort of intervention for yourself, is likely to impact the whole system. And so what it means is that you can look at each of these links in the chain and have some confidence that you can simply pick the easiest link in the chain to begin with, knowing that once you make positive change for yourself in that easiest part of this chain, that the very fact that they're interconnected means that change will actually spread to all the others as well. You see, the downside of interconnectedness is that it feels overwhelming. It feels like you're stuck in a web, but actually, you only need to make change in one place, and because they're all interconnected, the change has a knock-on effect. So you might feel as though you're dealing with 4 things, but really, you're not. You're dealing with this one system that's got these 4 components. But just like one domino that knocks into the next domino, that knocks into the next one, that knocks into the next one, you only need to make change in one place. And the interconnectedness of it means that the change will start to happen everywhere. The very fact that these have got some sort of circular loop going on actually makes it beneficial, even though it seems like, oh, when I try and change that, this is there as well, and that's interconnected, and oh, that's all overwhelming. It's the interconnectedness that you can make work for you when you make that positive change. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed by this chain of stuff, and you're thinking, God, how can I ever overcome that? Because it's a chain of stuff. Everything's interconnected. what you can realise now is that this is actually a huge benefit. Because when you make one change, like the domino effect, it's going to impact all of those other things that it's linked to. And so you don't have to kind of untangle everything in quite the way that maybe you think you do. Because that change is going to impact the second link. And because that's connected to the third link, the change that happens there will affect that. And because that's linked to the fourth link in the chain, then the change that happens there will affect that. And then that's linked back to the very first thing again in this circle that we were mentioning. And so the change kind of happens in all the places. It's a little bit like that electricity test that they do at school where they had you all kind of hold hands. And the first person would be the one that touches the mild electricity source. And even if you were like 5 or 6 down the line, you were still getting that little spark of electricity because it was conducting through everybody. You were all connected. You were all linked. And it's a very similar effect here. So even though it looks tangly and knotty and difficult and it's all connected and how am I going to get through this? Actually, the fact that it's connected is really going to help you because it allows you to just find the easiest point in the link, the easiest point in the chain to make some sort of difference in your favour. And the very fact that they're connected means that this will impact that, which impacts that, which impacts that. And suddenly this thing that feels like a tight knot starts to loosen up. And suddenly the change that you make in just one area of that chain, just one area of that system, starts to ripple through and impact all of it. And I'm giving you that idea because it can feel really overwhelming when we're in that web, when we're tangled up in this knotty thing that's all interconnected. And it can feel so overwhelming that what we actually miss is that its interconnectedness is exactly the thing that can make change happen very, very quickly. Because you're not dealing with 4 separate things where you have to change that and then you have to change that and right, let's move on to the next mountain to climb and then the next one. It doesn't work that way at all. The way it works is that you just change one of them, and the fact that they're interconnected means that they all kind of shake out. They all have a positive influence because one is impacting the other. And so if you do feel overwhelmed, I'd like you to remember this idea. The very fact that the thing you're dealing with is interconnected and tangly and full of knots is actually a huge benefit. Because the interconnectedness means that you don't have to make those 4 separate changes. You just need to make one. And that one change, because it's interconnected, it's going to spread that benefit right throughout and it'll start to loosen in all of these different areas. And so if you find this idea useful, please spread it around so other people can as well. Subscribe to us for free so you don't miss an episode in future. You can do that wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch them on YouTube. And for ease, I've set up a domain name called asliceoftherapy.com that will take you directly to the YouTube channel. And if you'd like to work with me directly, I'm Alun Parry, and I'm at the Liverpool Psychotherapy practice, which is liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. Thanks for listening. I'll be back again tomorrow.